And then number 10 is to develop our givers. And that's going to be next month's podcast. You don't want to miss it. You'll want to tell your friends. You'll want to let others know, because I'm going to have Lee Domain here to talk about how do you develop people in your church who have the gift of giving? Because there are people who have the gift. Romans chapter 12 lists it as one of the spiritual gifts, that some people just have this supernatural capacity to earn and the discipline to live well within their means so they can strategically invest in kingdom projects. We call it at Highlands, there are people on our legacy team, is who we call them, that accelerate the vision. So they don't determine the vision, they just determine the speed of the vision. And Lee Domain leads that for us. Of course, he's also my partner here at Grow Leader. And it's something that we love to do to help churches too, to help develop their legacy teams. In fact, this month we have a pastor and some of his government leaders, some of the elders, the non-staff elders of the church, and some of their legacy givers coming to spend a weekend with us, and we're going to pour into them and help them, because I think it's important to develop people who have the gift of giving.
That's great. One quick point on the next point. What's the important method of communication from the senior pastor or senior leader to people as they are giving throughout the church?
I think each pastor has to figure out their own comfort level with that. But number 11 of my 12 principles is thank people who give. One of my favorite ways to do that, Matt, is at the end of the service when we're receiving our tithes and offerings, or we're all giving our tithes and offerings. I like to just thank people already for being generous. So look, as you give, thank you. Now, come on, everybody, you need to do more. We need some help. We're trying to get this done. You know what? I just want to thank you. Every one of you, every single one of you are a vital part of what's happening at our church. This past month, we had a Vision Sunday, and I took a lot of time in this vision message just to tell the people who just give what God's put on their heart to give every month, how they're just as vital a part of this vision. It only happens through their generosity. So we do it through an annual letter that I write to everyone who gives, to making phone calls of those who've been extravagantly generous. I think we send handwritten notes and cards to those who have invested strategically, and especially to our legacy team, making videos about it. And of course, we even have a legacy report of where their generosity goes. So I think we have to be very, very intentional about being thankful to those givers.
Well, great. This is the last point. This may be the most important one out of all of them, just in how you're communicating to your people. And that is to...
Number 12, keep the vision in front of people. I've been guilty of under-visioning the church twice in the 20 years, and I watched the giving back off when that happens. And so I think there's a lot of competition for people's generosity. If you'll notice it, by the way, it's happening at this time of the year. In October, November, you're going to see more organizations raising money. You're going to see, the charity organizations making commercials. You're going to see more of that. Why? Because of year-end giving, which is why we had this podcast at this season of the year. But I think one of the healthiest things that pastors can do is share the vision. Here's the way I say it, Matt, and that is, here's what we're doing, and it's a lot, and we're excited about it, and we're grateful for it. But here's what we could do. Here's where God has given us an opportunity. Here's where perhaps because of our influence or because of an opportunity that we could be involved in this.
That's great.
And we don't have to, but we could. And I love kind of throwing that out there to the church, hey, by the way, we could do this. And if you feel like it's something that's important to do, why don't you give toward that? And if you don't think so, that's fine. We're doing a lot, But boy, we sure have a lot of vision. And then when I train pastors and help pastors, what I love to do is teach them how to have a vision for your church, your city, your nation, and your world. And the way I say it is this, and I'll close with this, is someone came to you with $1 million right now, and it was just extra. It's above your budget. And he says, hey, put it in our church. Where would you put it? Or if they said, hey, put it in your city, where would you put it?
That's great. Or
here, put it in our nation. I have a burden for our nation. I don't want you to spend it anywhere else. I'd love for you to put it in our nation. Where would you put it? They don't have a vision for our nation. They have a vision for the world. Where would you put it? And if you don't, well, then you're under visioning yourself. And get along with God. God's got a vision for those areas, and he wants to help us in them.
So great. Again, if you missed any of that, we have all of that information in the show notes. Thank you so much, PC.
I really
for
enjoyed
jumping
it.
on with us. I can't wait till next month. We're going to jump in and talk about some practical things you can do by developing the leaders, the givers that are inside of your church.